Hello, Guardians. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I am one of your hosts, Corey Deering, and alongside me, as always, is the Dungeon Watcher, the Gunslinging, the... What did I say last night? I forget. The Eyes of Tomorrow. That's wrong. A thousand words. Josh Finney. Hi, Josh.
Not your best.
No.
Not your best.
It's been a long week, okay?
Yay, Josh! Yay!
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 It's been a long week, man. Okay, I'm trying here.
It's been a fucking week. Somebody put that down. I haven't said it in a while.
Yeah. You know. Plus, I wasted all my good ones on podcast last night, Josh.
It's true. You did.
Yeah. But Josh, also joining us is the legend, the man, the Mac Daddy. Nerd Generalist is here.
The Mac Daddy?
That's what I said. I don't know.
Mac Daddy. What podcast are we doing here? I thought I signed up for an Untitled Goose Game podcast.
Honk.
The goose is on the loose.
What's up? I'm happy to actually be back with both of you. I think the last couple times I've been on, it's been in absence of one of you. So I'm happy to be back with both of you.
True.
Yep.
True.
Most of the time, one of us is missing when you're here. Not today.
Now it's just a threesome.
Yep. Sausage party. Linkage. All right.
Okay. I have to ask, since we're in the dawning spirit. It's the holidays. It's our last episode of the year. Have you guys seen some of these Christmas campaigns that are just getting completely out of hand?
You have to be more specific.
Okay,
Yeah,
have you seen the Planters Peanuts one?
No, but is it Googleable?
So I'm gonna read the image to you that I found.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Because this
I'm
showed
excited.
up as a Facebook ad, and then it was in fucking Kroger. It was
Wait.
in Kroger.
Is this gonna make me go nuts?
So hey, I'm gonna pull this up because I don't want to mince my words here. It is a picture of the Planters Peanut inside of a snow globe, and he's holding a stack of nuts, and it says, "Planters, to all a good nut." I kid you not. This is a real fucking thing that the Planters Peanuts company approved. Hormel Foods approved this.
I love it.
To all a good nut. And I want to
think-
know why we have not heard more about this ad campaign.
I think everybody deserves a good nut for Christmas.
You know what? I tend to agree. That's just, so. Some of these campaigns are just fucking wild. Has anybody seen the Etsy commercials?
No.
So there's an Etsy commercial where there's this dad and his daughter, and this daughter is holding a snow globe and is putting it at the empty seat at the table, and it's pretty clearly implied that the mom is like, she's dead.
I did see this.
And so the dad orders some gift off Etsy, and you're like, what the fuck the mom is dead.
So I've seen this commercial actually, and I actually got really mad about it. So what happens in the commercial is it's a snow globe, and he goes and he cuts up a bunch of newspaper, shreds a bunch of newspaper, and throws it into a fan, and takes his daughter into this room with all the newspaper.
Yeah.
At the end of it, I was like, oh, that's sweet. But who's gonna clean that shit up?
It's a fucking Amazon commercial is what it is.
Because that's a hot mess right there.
That's a fucking Amazon commercial. I was just like, what does the shredder have to do with... Because my girlfriend had the same exact line of thought that you did. Who the fuck's cleaning this up? What does a shredder have to do with the fact that this child is without a mother?
Listen, it's consumerism at its finest, Josh. If you're feeling sad about your
did her mom also hate the environment?
Her mom was a secretary, and she just really had fond memories of shredding papers with her dead mother. Jeez.
Wow. Oh my god, it's just so it's the worst remake of The Parent Trap I can possibly imagine. And listen, I fucking love The Parent Trap, okay? But this is
Aren't they remaking The Parent Trap?
Probably.
Haven't they already done it 3 times?
Oh, No, wait, that's the one where the mom and the daughter swap. I'm thinking of a different movie. What's that
Freaky
called?
Friday.
That's it.
Still Lindsay
Yeah.
Lohan.
Lindsay Lohan and
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, they were like they wanted to remake that.
Well, no, they're making a sequel.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, sequel.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, The Parent Trap from 1997, pretty damn good movie. It was on sale on iTunes for $6 the other day. I fucking love that movie. It's very weird. It's very weird. I feel as a grown man to like that movie. It's a great, fucking movie.
How many Planters nuts out of 10 would you give it?
Oh, how many nuts out of a bag?
I don't want to talk about nuts and 12-year-old Lindsay Lohan. Okay, this sounds like a terrible direction to go.
I will have you know, every single adult in that movie is completely incompetent, with the exception of the housekeeper, who totally figures that out like instantly. Like, hey, you're not the same fucking kid we sent to camp. Okay, you're that British bitch.
Wait.
He figures it out like right away.
What was the knockoff Parent Trap with the freaking Olsen twins?
Night at the Museum?
No. There was a movie that came out in the late 90s where the Olsen twins basically remade Parent Trap. But they didn't make it, but they starred in it. What was it called? It Takes Two. My wife just shouted it from the other side of the room.
Did
you guys ever see
the
that?
Game of the Year winner from last year from Joseph Fuck the Oscars Ferris?
Get out of here. No, Google it if you haven't seen it.
I have not seen it. I take pride in the fact that I've never watched an Olsen Twins movie.
It's got a...
I definitely like Lindsay Lohan movies as a child.
I think it has Kirstie Allen in it. Kirstie Allen?
Who's
Kirstie Allen? What's her name? I'm blanking on names today.
Anyways,
as you can see,
the Olsen twins of it all, Planters
Alley.
has maybe both simultaneously the best and most juvenile ad campaign of the year, and it's fucking incredible.
I support it.
I started laughing when I saw that banner in the store, and Chelsea was like, "What are you laughing at?" And I showed her, and she was like, it took her a second to get it. She was like, "Oh my god."
This episode sponsored by Planters Nuts.
Oh god.
And
Not really.
I saw it during No Nut November.
I'm really concerned.
This episode's off to a really weird start.
Listen, I warned everybody ahead of time. I have had a hell of a day. I am definitely on at least my second drink.
Let's see if we can get you through this episode, Josh, without just completely going off the rails.
I'm here. I'm fine.
We've already been off the rails. We've talked about nuts. We've talked about 3 different Lindsay Lohan movies.
Dead mothers. Lindsay Lohan.
Hashtag dead parents.
Jeez.
Batman. Lindsay Lohan's basically Batman.
I was gonna say Batman. I think we're due for a Lindsay Lohan resurgence.
She's doing a bunch of Christmas movies for Netflix.
That's how it starts.
They're like Hallmark
for
movies
Vanessa
for
Hudgens.
Yeah. Maybe they'll be in one together.
Okay, now listen, I don't know. I would love that. Okay, that'd be fucking great.
Josh has got a membership to the Hallmark on-demand service for sure.
Listen, it's for my grandma. It's in her name. I'm not even. I swear to fucking God.
Sorry, Josh. You're gonna miss all this. What's that chick's name from Full House? Candace Cameron Bure or whatever. She left Hallmark, the Hallmark Channel.
No, yeah, I know he's talking about
Dave Coulier.
John Stamos Christmas movies.
Oh no.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, so while we're all gathered here at the end of the year, we thought it would
as
be
you can
nice.
tell, the season's going quite well.
We thought it would be nice to gather around and talk about, some of the good things that happen in Destiny, some of the not so good things, and some of the outright ugly things. So, let's talk about the good for the year. We'll get the seasonal stuff in a minute, and I'll read the TWAB while we're doing this because I haven't even peeped it yet. I assume there's nothing important in there.
Never is. Just kidding.
The good.
Brutal.
Guys, let's talk about some of the high points of the year real quick. We'll kind of rattle them off. I think the Witch Queen expansion, obviously, not just the high point of the year, the high point of like maybe all of Destiny since Forsaken.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think we can all pretty much agree I think it's the best campaign that they've done in the series. Personally.
Yes. Agreed. Definitely the most cohesive.
Yeah.
Definitely the most cohesive. Felt like it had the least amount of filler too.
Yeah.
There was still a little bit of filler, but it felt like there was actually a purpose to everything we were doing. And I appreciated the flashbacks, like how we understood Savathun's plot and her storyline and everything. Like the addition of Finch as an NPC has been an absolute treasure and a delight this year.
Yeah.
This fucking wacky ghost who's like, yeah, fuck you, I'm not reviving you.
Right.
It's even better. Like, so we're in the dawning. It's great when you go up and give him a Christmas cookie. The dialogue, he's so touched to get a fucking cookie from you. He briefly mulls rezzing his hive guardian to share the cookie with him. But I'll only attempt it after you're gone.
What if that was the season? What if you had to fight the Hive Guardian and kill him again?
I mean, have you seen how quickly they die? He's definitely going to be dead. But I can't smash his ghost because it's Finch.
It's fair.
Vow of the Disciple? Anybody? Great raid.
Fantastic raid.
Maybe the best Destiny 2 raid?
Yeah,
definitely the best final boss. For sure.
Rolk was definitely different, and we were asking for ones that we couldn't just stand in a well and fight.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't done Rolk in a hot minute. I did it a couple nights ago with Dealer and a couple of guys, and man, that was a fucking blast. It had been a while, and I forgot how much I enjoy the encounter leading up to it, with the dunking and the reading of the symbols. And then when you actually get up to Rolk, it's fun.
Yeah, it's a good
ambiance. Narrative.
It's fun. The soundtrack is awesome to it. I think the jumping puzzles are fun. The loot was good. I'm still a little bit bitter that his glaive was not the exotic. That's like maybe my only negative. That and Exhibition is just such a weird encounter.
That's fun though.
It can take you one try, or you can be there for an hour and a half. But once you get it down to a science, it's great. Other high points that I think I had, the narrative in Haunted, not the overall season. The narrative I thought was really good. Especially Zavala and Keitel's traumas. I thought that was really good. Duality, despite all its bugs, I really enjoy it as a dungeon.
Yeah, it's a great dungeon.
My second or third favorite, behind Prophecy and of course Spire of the Watcher. After Haunted, though, I think we kind of take a dip. Not a lot for me to highlight from Plunder outside of the final cutscene. I think the final cutscene is actually like we've made all the jokes about the Nez T, but I still think that once you get past that, I think the scene between Saint and Osiris is really powerful to the narrative and to these characters that we've literally watched for years. Osiris wanting Saint back. He finally gets him back 2 seasons later, gets taken over by Savathun, and, then Saint struggle this year trying to bring him back. It was rewarding. I don't know if I necessarily agree with some of the critique that, we should have been in the room when it happened. Like, no, I think putting it in one of those stylized cutscenes was probably the best way to do it, frankly. I think it had allowed for it to be a more intimate cutscene. More intimate story.
Can I jump in?
You can absolutely jump in. I'm rattling off a few things that I'm thinking of off the top of my head.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I'll let you finish then.
No. I'm good. That's really my last really high point for right now. We're gonna talk about Spire of the Watcher later on. That's probably my last one. The Return to King's Fall, obviously.
Well, I want to.
I
think. Well, to kind of jump in on the point about Plunder, I think Plunder kind of gets a bad rap because there were.
So I want you to present the counterpoint here because I'm gonna get to this in the not so great.
Yeah, and I think I would put Season of the Plunder in both the great and not so great sections for different
Agreed.
reasons.
Agreed.
I think the reason why it was bad is the storyline was a little stale, especially kind of coming off of Witch Queen.
Yep.
Or it was a little shallow, I guess is probably the way to put it.
Yeah, especially like I think just to sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
No,
you,
go,
but
go, go, go.
just to jump in on that, like I think we had two really kind of heavy seasons that we were excited for something that was lighthearted but still kind of did some interesting storytelling, which like I think the story that they presented was interesting, but it wasn't fleshed out enough and wasn't, they didn't dive too deep into it.
Yeah.
And then the of like the events and the um kind of like the gameplay elements that led towards the story were also pretty stale after the first 2 or 3 weeks.
I think for me, when you look at it, I don't know that the narrative is necessarily bad. I think how it was executed was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
this
what
was
I
kind of
getting
the
at.
last chance to have something lighthearted before Lightfall and Final Shape, because let's face it, we're not getting lighthearted seasons next year.
Yeah.
And especially coming off, I mean, Haunted and the events of Risen are some of the heaviest events that we've had. But you look at the narrative that we've had for, God, I'm going to say the last 2+ years, going all the way back to Arrivals. Even Hunt, which I think is universally considered one of the worst seasons, as it should be. It has by far probably the second worst activity. Still had a really great narrative with Crow finding out who he is, with the Hawk Moon quest, with getting him away from Spider and things like that. I think that was still really well executed. And for Plunder to be, I don't think the narrative was bad. I think it was just a step below what we've come to expect. I look at the previous season that Mithrax was involved in, Splicer, and Splicer might be the best narrative that we've gotten in a season.
It's one of them for sure.
Like, in terms of that and like the aesthetic and everything else.
So to sort of hit the other side of it and to really point out why I think Plunder could be one of the bright parts is because Bungie took a little bit of a risk.
Yep.
And did a completely like wacky theme for their season, which is one of the first times I think we've ever seen this, where like, yeah, we've had, all seasons have an overarching theme, but they've always been sort of like nested within the real confines of the story. But now, like, I think them going pirates like was a big deal for us.
Pirates.
And that like it kind of took us outside of the bubble, and it really did kind of sort of present us with that opportunity to do something that was a little more lighthearted. And I think that was it was a very adventurous and kind of a risky step. I mean, when we all saw it, we talked about it on one of the episodes. We were all super excited for it. I think the actual theme of the season, I think the seasonal activity and Catch Crash was really fun. But I do think most of that season was just executed poorly. Yeah,
it felt like, especially the plot beats with Nezarec, it almost felt like bad fan fiction at times to me. And that's kind of a shame, because Nezarec is a character that like we didn't know much about, obviously, leading into this, and it was kind of like, oh, all the worst theories I saw online the previous season when people are like, oh, I wonder if we're gonna talk about Nezarec soon. It's kind of like all the worst theories came true, and that's a bummer to me. This is a former disciple we're talking about. I don't think that we're done with this. There's going to be some kind of consequence. And I think if there's one salvaging thing out of it, I think there's a lot of lore information that was really, really good in that season. Like, that's the one thing that like I think has consistently been great for years now, has been, even if the story may be a little lackluster at times, the lore has always been good. And I think they continued that here. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I agree with you. I like Catch Crash. I think that's a wacky activity. I just wish there had been a little more variation, because after like run 30, you're like, oh my God, I'm looking at the exact same hallway again. This is terrible.
Yeah, I think I know they try to like randomize the rooms to make it feel different, but I think there should have been. And
Only
I know
having 3 possible combinations was pretty rough.
Yeah, I feel like I know this would have taken a lot more development time, but I think they should have had. I think it might have been better if they had like 3 separate ships that you went through instead of just randomizing the 3 different activities.
Hear me out. I kind of wish that the other thing that I felt was like really half-baked was the Pirate Lords. Those guys died like to a melee attack. They were not very challenging to do solo.
Yeah.
I think this season it's funny because I think that Seraph has kind of highlighted how you can have more difficult seasonal content without making it overbearing.
Mm-hmm.
I would prefer an activity where I have to go in with 3 people, even if it's match made, to fight a boss that I've heard about, in the story for that week that is challenging. It's supposed to be one of the pirate lords working like one of Aramis's top lieutenants. I expect that to be challenging.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Yep.
simply wasn't. Like I think there was an opportunity here to maybe you didn't need to do like 7 or 8 of these things. Maybe there was an opportunity to do 3 or 4 of them and have them be new Empire hunts, since those are what we use to
Interesting.
take down Aramis's lieutenants in Beyond Light. Maybe there was an opportunity there. Just kind of spitballing. I feel like the season had the bones of a good season, but for me, it's the most disappointing of the year, and I still think even being the most disappointing season of this year is still better than like other worst seasons. Like I said, I think back to Hunt, and I think this is better than Hunt. I think back to this is absolutely better than Worthy and Undying. But I think that's also a testament to the quality of a lot of the seasons that we've gotten. That we're like, oh, this is one of the worst seasons, and you think about all the seasons ahead of it, and you're like, damn, that's actually like it's kind of hard to break into that next tier.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like where the ball is in Bungie's court
Yep.
going into this new year, and we can maybe talk about this later, but they've really, if we're gonna have at least 2 more seasons of this kind of seasonal structure, which has kind of been alluded to in the TWAB a couple weeks ago, or not the TWAB, maybe it was a tweet, I don't know.
Joe Blackburn had
Yeah.
a tweet thread about it.
We've got some insight that we've got at least 2 more of these like kind of normal seasons as we know them yet. I really want to see them like make those last 2 seasons show us what they've learned all
Yep.
in like one season, and like give us 2 seasons that are just gonna like blow us out of the water narratively, loot wise, activity wise, because like you really can't stand to give people 2 more seasons of just the same old, and I think that's kind of like you gotta show us what you got
I
with these
agree
last
with that.
2.
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
So
it's definitely
do we have
feels...
any more highlights of the year that maybe we missed?
King's Fall.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't. I mean, we
I
mentioned
did
it,
mention
but
King's Fall. I wasn't going to dwell on just like I didn't really want to dwell on the campaign or on King's Fall or the raids
oh
that much
man, I would dwell on King's Fall for the
because we
next
did
hour.
well because I know we'll be here all night. But also
Corey's like,
because
don't skip over my favorite thing ever.
It's
we
no, seriously, it's seriously my favorite thing Bungie has ever done, and
yeah.
it's still just as good as it was back then.
For sure. I was just kind of I think I was kind of going past it 'cause it's like we did entire episodes dedicated to these specific topics.
True.
Fair. That was a long time
But yeah,
ago. Josh.
King's Fall is great. I really need
I
to get in
think
there.
people have forgotten how good King's Fall was. I think we should tell them.
Hey guys, King's Fall, real good. Try it one time. The wall of dicks.
The wall of dicks, my friends.
The ball dunking.
I guess the last thing I kind of want to dwell on really quickly, and I am going to make this a quick thought, the look to the future that we got during the Lightfall reveal, Lightfall showcase. Nerd and I were watching it with Joe and Johnny, and I think I was a little surprised at like how much they wanted to talk about like bringing third-party applications into the game. The fact that we're going to get like loadouts and LFG baked into game, and these are things that we've asked for so long. And I think we'd all kind of given up on it, thinking, well, the old consoles probably can't handle it. This is going to kind of segue into the not so great. The performance issues of the game are starting to become apparent. Even on new consoles, it's becoming very clear that the old consoles are starting to hold it back more.
Get ready, original Xbox owners. Josh is coming to doo-doo all over you. It's coming.
I'm just saying, at this point, I understand why Bungie is not taking the step right now. They want everything in the saga from Shadowkeep onwards, well, really for the Forsaken pack onwards, playable on the same console. I respect that. I understand that. You are also not a typical multiplayer game that sunsets after or ceases title updates after like a year or 2. You are an ongoing game. You are the longest ongoing console game that I know of that continually pumps out paid expansions, paid seasons, etc. And I think if you're going to charge a premium price point, we need to have premium performance. and that's becoming more and more of an issue. Like, for example, I'm going to point out, for example, the server issues that we had Spyro the Watcher launch day. I understand that something wacky happened, but when something is so jumbled in the spaghetti code that you have to disable the API for like 5 days, the amount of people that were like legitimately having meltdowns over this was both funny to watch and a little sad that it has effectively gotten to the point where if you are super serious about this game, you are using those third-party apps.
Yeah,
And that's pretty bad.
I think that this year especially has really shown that stuff like dim, for example, has become such a crucial foundation
Mm-hmm.
to the gameplay experience. I mean, I don't use the built-in Destiny app. I go to my vault a couple times a year, maybe, just to like clean stuff out. Dim is being a third-party application has become a huge part of my gameplay flow and gameplay loop. That, yeah, I mean, that's something they definitely have to address this next year, for sure.
Yeah. I'm wondering if we're going to see a backtrack, and I don't know if it would I don't think it'll get announced in 2023 if they do. Well, there's two backtracks I wonder if we're going to see. One is the promise of being able to play the entire saga on the previous generation. Because let's be honest, if you were just doing like PS4 Pro and Xbox One X, and I know that's probably almost impossible to code it for that, right? Then I would say you could maybe get away with it. But the fact that these have to run on the base consoles that came out in 2012.
I know, gross.
Plot twist: Destiny 2 coming to Switch next year.
Oh my
Ready,
God.
Josh?
I think my Switch would legitimately melt in my hands.
Graphics would still be better than Pokemon.
They would still be better than Pokemon. It would still be better optimized.
I don't want to think about that right now.
this is going to sound like needlessly cruel to say that they need to do it before the final shape, but we have to remember that they did this back in Rise of Iron Day also, where they cut support for the 360 and PS3 versions before Rise of Iron came out. Rise of Iron was not playable on those consoles. I think that these consoles are fairly readily available now. PS Direct almost always has PS5s in stock now. I've seen them on shelves multiple times, and I live in a huge metro. So if I'm seeing them on shelves, they're out there. I'm telling you.
As somebody who's recently switched to PC as well, I can tell you that the system requirements for Destiny on PC are not bad at all.
No,
and
it's
you
not
can
bad
play
at all.
it with a pretty low.
I
powered
really know
system.
people who are playing on Walmart PCs that are doing fine.
What's wrong with Walmart PCs, Josh?
Nothing. They're playing on the $700 PC, and I'm glad that it's working for them. You need what, like a 1060, I think, for your graphics card?
You could play it on 1060. Yep.
Yeah. So, because I think that's I don't want to say anything like I don't want to misrepresent here, but I'm pretty sure John has a 1060 or a 1070 in his computer, and it runs perfectly fine. So you don't have to have like, oh, I don't want anybody getting the wrong way. Like, oh, Josh is telling us we have to go buy a 3080. No, I'm not at all. I'm saying you can literally buy like the most affordable graphics card that NVIDIA makes and be
Maybe you should dip into your Bright Dust cash, Josh, and buy everybody PCs.
Maybe we should all just play on Stadia and end it all.
Yeah, let's save Stadia.
The darkness is winning on January 18th on Stadia.
Let's save the Stadia, guys. Hashtag save the Stadia.
That's the real dark timeline, is if everybody else failed and Stadia won.
Tower Casuals are going to save Stadia.
Yep, Stadia Casuals, new podcast coming
January
17th.
But in all reality, like there have been... it's funny, we were kind of praising it on Witch Queen Day. We're like, oh man, we didn't get booted at all.
I used Stadia to farm for my funnel web.
I'm so proud of you.
I did. I signed up for an account. I used it. I got it.
We praised how stable the servers were on Witch Queen Day.
It's because there were like 5 people.
we praised that, and it took the 3 of us a little bit of time to get in together. You, me, and Joe. It took us a little bit of time to get in together, but once one of us got through the queue and into the game, I think it was me. I just like sat down in the first mission and waited. I just got it. We just got everybody in there eventually.
Yeah, I remember I was the last person. I was really cranky about it.
You were very cranky. And then Vow of the Disciple, everything went haywire on Vow Day, right? So there are still, obviously, there are going to be days where the population just spikes so much, and it like gives us horrible like Vietnam flashbacks to Rise of Iron, or to like Forsaken's launch and things like that. But it shouldn't be happening every time that we launch a new Pinnacle activity. Like dungeons, raids, and expansion releases are always going to be the days that your servers get completely overloaded, because that's what everyone is excited for.
I do want to point out though, there was not a queue on for the first time in a while on this most recent season launch and the dungeon release day. I didn't hit a single queue. I don't want to say that's a bad thing. Maybe they ramped up their available servers for it, but it could be a sign that perhaps there was a lack of interest.
I'm going to be genuinely honest. I haven't hit a queue at all in the seasons this year.
There definitely was for Plunder and for Haunted. I remember because I was there like right as the servers were opening up on Xbox, and there were definitely queues. There was not a queue.
I'm saying I personally did not hit a queue.
That's fine.
I loaded straight in. So I'm not trying to discount it. I'm just saying, like, I personally did not hit them. I felt this, even then, I felt that the queue times, even from when like you were in there, I felt like it was just a couple of minutes as opposed to like 30 minutes that we've hit in the past.
Josh has got that streamer access.
Yeah.
Josh has got gigabit Wi-Fi.
That goes down every 2 days.
No, it only goes down. We figured it out. We figured out the secret. It's only when I have Discord open.
I see how it is. That's
when
just
I have Discord open on my Mac, it
us.
takes up so much RAM that it just like crashes my Mac's network card. Legitimately, we figured it out.
Dude, you're getting a Dell.
Other things that I think like could have been better executed. The bugginess. Like the bugginess of duality is something that's still brought up regularly and with good reason.
Yeah.
That is insanely frustrating.
You literally couldn't, well, you could, but you really couldn't solo it for a long time.
No, I mean, like, even then, like, I don't know if you were in there, but I just, like, 2 months ago, maybe, I think I was with Joasis doing a run, and we hit the bell to go over, and all three of us died instantly when the bell was activated.
I mean, I've done maybe like 30 or 40 runs of duality, mix and mash in master as well, and every run you have a death from that minimum. It's still not fixed. Great. Well, not fixed until really late in the game. Yeah
I would say so. Like, and I understand that like not every fix is easy to fix, but that seems like a pretty alarming thing. And then I don't really have a whole lot in this in-between section. I have one really glaring thing in the ugly column, which, again, I don't want to spend a ton of time dwelling on. Corey and I have talked about it a lot the past few weeks, and I know that you're kind of along the same lines as us. PvP. The complete and total neglect of PvP is a glaring issue at this point, and is by far the biggest issue on Bungie's plate, I think. Like, more so than the optimization, more so than, like, the staleness of playlist activities, which do feel stale, is just how PvP has been just completely given the finger for, like, the third year in a row.
While I feel like we don't need to talk about specifically where Bungie failed, I do think it might be important to kind of discuss how they failed or, like, why they failed. I really do feel like they just need to come out and just admit to the fact that, like, PvP's been bad and explain why PvP has been bad, like why they haven't been able to get out more content. Because, like, I think the biggest problem really with a lot of this stuff, I mean, going back to the bugs that you were talking about, it's just lack of transparency, right? Like, not explaining, not acknowledging that stuff is broken, stuff's not there, stuff's not in the roadmap. Like, why?
I would absolutely agree with that. I think that for me, it's kind of a twofold problem. I don't know that modes is necessarily a problem. We've talked at length with you included, about how there needs to be a better competitive solution, and I think the bones are now there. I don't think it's there yet, but the bones are there. If you continue to build upon the foundation that is there now, you will have a good mode.
Yeah.
The biggest issue for me is one that plagued another game that I really, really liked, and I stopped playing this earlier this year, probably back in April or May. Halo Infinite is the lack of maps.
Mm-hmm.
To only have one original PvP map in the last 3 years is completely unacceptable. And for it to be disjunction of all things, I think is also like that. Just if it was a good map, it would be one thing, but it was good for one mode and one mode only, which nobody enjoyed playing either.
For a game that has so much content available and so much so many assets available, it's inexcusable. I agree.
It's inexcusable. We don't have any maps set on Europa. We don't have any new maps set on the moon. We've talked about environments that are ripe for this before. I don't think going and doing a map in the Ascendant plane is ever going to work because of the black and whiteness of it. But we talked about the Vex grid, where we did the expunges at. That is a perfect environment ripe for it. You can use the outskirts of the city. You can do more things on. You can do. I would love a map set entirely on rooftops. I think that would be a lot of fun. You really have to, like, people want to build into aerial. Great, here you go. You have to do it. Like, you're going to have to be good on this map. But saying we're going to give you 2 old Destiny 2 maps that we took out of rotation and 1 new map, and that's what you're going to get for the entire year of Lightfall is completely unacceptable. That's
need to know why.
Doing the minimum. That's not even doing the bare minimum.
We need to know why. We need to know why.
It's,
or you just need to say, hey guys, like PvP is just not going to be a priority anymore. Sorry.
Yeah.
Move on.
I would appreciate an answer either way. Either way is going to make me mad, I think, because I do truly like Crucible. But it's getting to a point where I'm not enjoying even quick play anymore. And it has nothing to do with skill-based matchmaking. I have no problem with that whatsoever. It has everything to do with the fact that I have been playing some of these maps since day 1 of Destiny 1.
Yeah.
And I'm getting really tired of seeing some of this shit. Like, almost every map that I've gotten in rotation for the last 3-4 months that I've played has been a Destiny 1 map.
You've got 2 years of this saga left. You need to decide, are we going to keep doing this? Like, will they, won't they with PvP?
Yeah.
Or are they just gonna say it?
I think that's a good point that you bring up. I forget who it was that I was talking with. It might have been Joasis and Dealer when we were playing Trials a couple weeks ago. It feels like PvP is really in a holding pattern right now. That they are like, they're gonna let it just limp along to the end of Destiny 2 and then come out and say, bam, we're doing Destiny 3. We're gonna do Destiny 3. It's gonna take us another year or so before we're ready to launch it, but we're gonna launch Destiny 3. This is why we haven't fixed PvP, because we're going all in with a new team here. That would not be an acceptable answer for me, but it would be an answer. The unfortunate answer that I feel that you were going to get is that they peeled off and we know for a fact that a lot of the PvP people still work there, but are working on a different game. We've said it before, you can't abandon the game that's your bread and butter right now, when it's literally the only game that you put out, to move your senior people to another project that may not see the light of day until 2025.
Right.
That blows my fucking mind.
Not without saying something, for sure.
Yeah, not without publicly addressing it. And don't get me wrong, like I absolutely love what they have done for PvE over the last couple of years. Like, we can all agree there is a radical difference from PvE Beyond Light onwards than there was for the first 3 years of Destiny 2. There's a wild radical jump. The year of Forsaken was an anomaly.
Let me pose this question to you.
Yeah.
About PvP. Do you think they would have rather just made Destiny a PvE only game, and this is just a holdover from the Activision?
No, I think they would have liked to have made this a PvE only game. So I'm gonna give you yes and a no. Yes, I think they would have rather it have been a PvE only game, and if they could go back in time, I think they would almost 100% make this a PvE only game. But I think they also really wanted PvP because that's such an important part of Bungie's legacy. That's what sustained Halo. You
Right.
played the campaign, and then you played multiplayer for like 4 years, waiting for the next installment. How many? All three of us can attest to. We grew up playing in Halo LAN parties in our friends' basements,
Yep.
staying up till like 4 o'clock in the morning, playing Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, whatever.
Hmm.
You know, in from junior high to high school to the college years. Like for me, I mean, like Halo multiplayer
Halo 2 was a
spans.
huge, like Halo 2 LAN parties in college was like a huge thing for me.
I mean, Halo 2 is literally how I met my best friend in junior high. Like
Yeah.
I would not have one of my best friends in the entire world without us both discovering that the other liked Halo
Mm-hmm.
on,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
right around launch day, and you know, the rest is history. But I think that that's part of why Bungie really wants Crucible to work, and why they keep, because you can't deny, like when they try stuff, they're trying to do things. I just think that their efforts are failing. And I'm not even going to get into like airborne effectiveness and that. Like I know that's a big deal for like the hardcore fan base, the hardcore PvP fan base. I don't get the obsession with it, but there has to be some kind of middle ground, and I think balancing the sandboxes differently definitely helps, but it's not enough. We're owed more than a few explanations, and I think that the majority of the community has been really, really, you know, understanding, and it's given an awful lot of leeway. But even those of us who are pretty patient are, I think, starting to finally have our patience run out here.
I just don't think that you can, like, it's clear PvP was meant to be a pretty large uh part of the game.
Yeah,
If you look at the lore, you look at how many PvP events we have trials, we have Iron Banner. I mean, and these are obviously development and design decisions that go back to Destiny 1. But it was clear that this was meant to be a big part of the game. I don't understand why that it's fallen sort of to the wayside so much. Um, but I really just think you have to make a decision at some point whether or not it's going to be fixed or it's not going to be fixed.
yeah. I think kind of as a final note on this, um, I would say the other thing that I want to point out, that it's something that we've made a point to be saying throughout the year. This is a game that very clearly was not designed with a competitive element in mind. It was designed for the Crucible to be a place where you went and you could play against other players. Trials was
Yes.
introduced in House of Wolves because there was no competitive element, and there was a subset of the player base that wanted it. That's where you went for competitive stuff. And I don't think it's panned out the way they wanted it to in Destiny 2. I think the way that Trials exists in Destiny 2 just kind of goes against their philosophy that they clearly have for the Crucible.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, we talked about Trials changes. You can go listen to plenty of those episodes in the past where we talked about, you know, our solutions to, you know, a 7-win card that doesn't require you to go flawless, all this and that, to make it more engaging to the rest of the player base. But I think there are some steps being taken. It's just, this is a game that there is a subset of the player base that wants this to be the most competitive thing they've ever played. And I'm sorry, not every single game needs to be that. You can have PvP without it being this ultra sweatfest activity. I play the Crucible because I want to play with all my friends without having to go do a raid. I want to play PvP because I like seeing how I match up against other players from time to time. I like that abilities handle differently in different modes. I like map design. Bungie's map design is still phenomenal. Like, that's something they've carried over from the Halo days. Like, Bungie's multiplayer maps are always something that I pay attention to and I look at. I love, you know, finding the little design quirks that they put in there, you know, the little nods to other things that are going on in the storyline. There's so much you can do with it, and I think that we've all kind of reached a point where the fan base and like us on this show, where if you do a Destiny 3, Crucible needs to be broken off into its own game with its own pool, its own balancing, its own weapons, etc. Like, it needs to be two separate entities at this point, so that you can fully and finally have an entire team only working on PvP and an entire team working only on PvE.
So would a Warzone, like the sort of the division that Warzone versus like main title Call of Duties currently have, like where you get a Call of Duty title and Warzone as a separate game gets updated with the content from that Call of Duty in it. Do you think that would be something that would work for Destiny?
I think Destiny is in such a unique position because of the ability sandbox and because of super abilities that I don't think it's as cut and dry as that.
Right, but they've said that they don't
Um,
want Crucible to be based in abilities. They've said they want it to be
uh,
mainly
yeah,
revolved
and
around
I
gunplay.
understand that, and everything that's happened in Crucible over the last year completely like spits in the face of that argument. I think.
Agreed.
Um, I think that's why Corey and I were proposing, a hero shooter earlier on in the year. Almost more
Mhm.
like Overwatch or Valorant based.
I want to be a
Um,
Shahan main.
oh man, Shahan feet picks. That's what I'm talking about. Um,
Whoa.
No,
I
all I know is after seeing those Assassin's Creed Destiny armor sets for Valhalla, I really want to play as Shax in Saint 14 in a hero shooter thing.
Yeah, I think there would definitely be room for us to be able to do that, and I think that would be a way to like control ability spam. Also, like, oh, you have to pick your hero, and like you get a certain set of abilities set to that hero, like tailored to it. Um, but also like you can completely tune abilities as much or as little as you want to in a standalone Crucible game. I think there would obviously like be an incentive, like, oh, if you're playing a lot of PVE, like, hey, you're gonna get bonuses, you're gonna get, you're gonna get your weapons, you get to carry over your weapons with your rolls and things like that. Like, I think that would obviously be a big thing. But if you went and made Crucible, for example, a free to play game, you would get similar to Call of Duty, like, okay, you get certain weapons, you could do certain, mods and certain upgrades, but if you're playing the full thing, you're gonna get the full experience.
I think we should call Activision Blizzard and we should get their opinion on how to run a free to play shooter game, hero shooter
I
game. I
think
think
we
they're
should
doing a fan.
call Epic
I think we should do that.
and absolutely beg them to license Bungie Unreal 5.
I was joking because Overwatch 2 is an absolute shit show.
It is
And
an absolute
and
shit
I
show.
don't think that Blizzard should provide any insight on how to launch that game.
No. I
No,
would
but
like
I do
go
agree
ahead,
they
Corey.
should talk to Epic. I think if
Yeah.
they were to do something like that, because obviously Epic is clearly the master of the free to play whatever, right? And
I would say
I don't.
Epic and Respawn are probably the two
Yeah,
companies you would want to call.
I was gonna say, I was gonna bring up Respawn and Apex because I feel like Destiny's whatever the hero shooter would be would probably fall more in line with an
Yeah.
Apex model than a
Yes.
Fortnite model. But either way,
Yep. Well, I mean, look at all those games and see which ones managed to avoid the widespread criticism. Really, you don't hear a lot about Apex these days doing bad things.
yeah,
No. It's just kind of, more of the same. It's got a very dedicated player base, very passionate fan base, and
it's
we
a
talked
great
about
game.
this. We talked about this last night on the Boss Rush pod that I was on. We were talking about the Game Awards, and you look at the award for best ongoing game, and it's almost the same games every year because those games are consistently good. It's Fortnite, it's Apex Legends, it's Destiny, it's Final Fantasy 14.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think we need a gotcha dating simulator Destiny spinoff.
I mean, listen, if I can bake cookies for Mara all day, I'm there.
Whoa.
That's the NetEase game. Just wait. It's baking fucking cookies.
It's just a dating sim.
I mean, I would low key play that, but
you totally would.
Would Shax's helmet stay on though?
Oh man, if you give him a lot of cookies and you pay $50 and buy the expanded battle pass, he takes that helmet off real fast. That's not the only thing he takes off.
He just lifts the flap up and eats the cookies,
and that's enough. And then Josh gets his good Christmas nut.
Chew all a good nut.
The nuts.
All right. So yeah, kind of year in review. A lot of really good stuff happened. I know we didn't talk a lot about the good stuff, but that's because we spent all year talking about the good shit. And there are there's some rough patches, but I think overall, like, still a pretty damn strong year. Like, it's not the strongest, but it's pretty good. Like, it's pretty good
What
overall.
would you say was the strongest if it's not this year?
I think there's definitely an argument. Well, so if you're taking everything into account, seasons and expansion, I think there's still an argument for it to be. And I'm not saying I necessarily make this argument, but I think there is an argument for it to be Forsaken. Because you look at Forsaken, you got the Forsaken expansion. You got Last Wish. You got the Shattered Throne. You got the Black Armory, Scourge of the Past. You got Joker's Wild with Gambit Prime. and
Oh,
Reckoning,
Gambit
which
Prime went over really
we
well.
can kind of skip. Every year has a bad season. That's what I'm trying to get at here. Every year has a bad season. And then you have Opulence, which I know most players think is like the pinnacle of Destiny 2. I personally don't think it is. It had Crown of Sorrow with it, it had Menagerie. I think it's pretty close in terms of like overall content when you include the expansion and the seasons between Forsaken's year of content and Witch Queen's year of content. I'm inclined to give the slight edge here. Oh, you also got 0 Hour that year, which
I'm
might be
gonna
the best
say,
mission in the game.
I'm gonna say that Destiny is in a better place now, and is in an overall better place and had a better year than at the end of that year.
I will agree with you. I will agree with you there. There was so much uncertainty at the end of that year because that's when the Activision split happened. The Activision split happened before Opulence came out. So Shadowkeep was basically already set at that point. They made it clear, and like you look at the content that was provided then, like the reason why we got 3 raids was because they had like 4 studios working on this game at once. I still don't think they've hired enough manpower to get back to that level of content production, but I think what we're getting is more consistently good, especially in terms of storytelling and gear.
Ooh, can I ask a question to both of you?
You can absolutely ask a question.
Subclass 3.0, the new subclasses, the subclass reworks. Were those a positive or a negative? Corey, go.
Oh, I think they're definitely a positive in a lot of ways.
Speak to me specifically about a Titan, because we have a person that mains each class here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it allowed you to really build around your playstyle more. I am definitely, like, when we go and raid and stuff, I'm definitely a bubble Titan, right? But like, my playstyle is definitely, I just want to run in there and shoot guys and be, resilient and punch people and use shotguns and, take out people. And going through with the Sentinel Shield Bash Titan and having different aspects that allow me to be more resilient or charge my melee faster without having to waste a mod on it, or doing these different types of things just really allowed me to play the way I want to play. Now granted, I probably became a worse Destiny player because I was less careful, but also like that's how I want to play strikes and nightfalls and dungeons and stuff. I want to go in there and be aggressive, and it allowed me to do that. But also when you flip the table, like I was allowed to experiment with other things. Like, Johnny gave me this really awesome Solar Titan build that I messed around with for probably like a month and a half, that just throwing hammers and using the giant hammer and running around with Dune Marchers, which everybody makes fun of me for, but I did anyway. And it just, I think subclass 3.0 is a lot better than the way it used to be, especially because like you can mix and match grenades now. You could mix and match abilities that weren't available to you before. It just, more customization is always better, I think.
Josh, go.
Overwhelmingly yes. I mean, I've basically turned into an Arc Hunter main, which are words I never thought I would say.
Right.
I don't think those are words any hunter ever thought they would say.
I joked in the first week of Arc 3.0 that I had already played more Arc on my Hunter than I had ever played combined of Arc. I deliberately would use other classes when I needed to do Arc stuff, or when I played on other classes, I used Arc a lot. They were just more fun. I mean, who doesn't want to Thunder Crash or shoot a gigantic beam of lightning? Like, who doesn't want to do those two things? I was a pole dancer on Hunter class. I was literally
Also
auditioning for a strip club out there. Like, it's pretty sensual. Darth Maul, this is not.
Corey, that's just more content for the Tower Casuals only fans.
It was one of those classes that like you had to be like really elite in PvP to use it properly.
Sure.
So I'm glad that I got that entire subclass usable. I think Hunter's got some of the most fun perks of the year in Gunpowder Gamble and Knock 'em Down with the Solar set. That was a lot of fun. Blade Barrage is viable again. in endgame content, which is just wild to think about. It's funny. Void, I think, is the main complaint that most people have. Void Hunter is probably, I would say, the biggest, if or maybe second biggest sore spot in the game, and it's largely because of people who have to play them in PvP. Going back to it, I see a lot of complaints about like, oh well, I don't understand why the hunter's entire kit is about invisibility. Well, because they're it's in the name. They're night stalkers. Like it's literally playing their identity. I think that's one of the instances where they really nailed playing to the identity and using like class and subclass verbiage is with the night stalker. The problem is you have exotics that completely like destroy any semblance of balance with that class. I
Interesting.
think we can all agree that Omnioculus and Gryfalcon are both just horribly broken and have been. They've been nerfed. They're going to get nerfed again, and they probably still need another nerf after that. Getting my dodge back as quickly as I do is definitely a problem in PvP, but I love it in PvE. Like, it's almost essential to have an Invis Hunter in a day one raid team or on a Grandmaster.
Mm-hmm.
So I really enjoy that, but I've also enjoyed, like, testing myself this year when I've done higher end content of not running a Void Hunter, of deliberately making it a little bit harder on myself and my teammates to, oh, I can't go invis to come get the res. I'm throwing an arc staff out there. I'm running Blade Barrage or I'm running Stasis. Like, all four classes are finally viable. And I think it's like that for almost every class. I say almost because Stasis Titan is in a really bad spot. And Arc Warlock
Has
isn't
been
too much better from what I understand.
Mm.
Nerd,
I don't even remember the last time I used a Stasis Titan.
give me your thoughts on Warlock subclasses. Quick 3.0.
Void was awesome.
Yep.
Solar was I don't think they knew what they were trying to do with Solar.
I think Solar got there by the end of the season, though. They deployed some buffs to
it. Was good for that season.
Okay.
But a lot of the tools, a lot of the things that made Solar awesome existed in the toolkit that was related to that season.
Got you. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I think Solar has an identity crisis, and then Arc.
I would agree with that.
I think Arc just needs a couple super buffs to make it viable. I've actually had a lot of fun playing Arc this season.
I would be shocked if the Geomags nerf did not get reverted.
They did a little bit of that, but not enough.
When they did reverse a little bit of it, I was like, I don't think it's enough. I think they're gonna have to.
Also, the Tickly Finger Super Emperor Palpatine Super still needs a little more juice.
Yep.
But I think with a couple super buffs, that subclass could be viable. So I mean, overall, I'm happy. It's certainly fun to, and like I think what Corey said is it gives you a lot more versatility, it gives you the ability to kind of tweak and adjust things to your play style more, and that's always a good thing.
Gotcha. Okay, any final subclass 3.0 thoughts? If not, we're gonna move on to the next topic. We're gonna start getting through things here. We've been going for quite a little bit longer than I thought we were going to. Any final thoughts on the year of content or on subclass 3.0?
Nope. I mean, I think overall a good year.
Great year, fantastic year.
A few downers, but overall, I think a very positive experience for me in total.
Yeah, I've enjoyed playing. I took more breaks this year than I ever have too, and I think that helped a lot.
Yeah, I definitely took a break at the end of this past season.
Yeah, I did too, and I'm taking this current season a little bit slower. So, Spire of the Watcher. All right. Full disclosure, Corey, you have not finished this, correct?
No, but I've watched enough of it to talk about it.
And there's just nothing to really spoil here, right?
Yeah, so. No, Mitch and I ran it the other night. I mean, we weren't even close to being ready. I did the first like opening mission of the season, and then we ran right into the dungeon, and no mods really, no anything, and we got like halfway through it. We weren't even planning on doing it, right? We were just kind of like, oh, let's jump in. I do like the mechanic of the dungeon.
Well, if you like it now, get ready for that boss room.
Yeah.
That is
Corey's training to become an electrical engineer.
Yeah. Nope.
It is absolutely wild. I love this dungeon. When I saw that it was going to be on Mars, I was poo-pooing it the night before it came out. I was like, ugh, I don't know how I feel about this.
Mars, gross.
Everyone knows how I feel about fucking Mars.
Josh loves
And
Mars.
Sand.
Listen,
It's
when I
coarse,
heard
it
that
gets
that was
everywhere.
getting vaulted, I fucking did a happy dance. Okay. I found out that and Mercury are being taken out of the game, and it's like, yes, the two worst destinations are gone. The two worst destinations in both Destiny games, mind
Dude,
you, are
Mercury
gone.
Mercury was just terrible.
Mercury fucking sucks. Yeah, you guys really... The people who thought that Curse of Osiris was better than Season of the Plunder, who hurt you?
Yeah.
Who said that? I wanna have a stern conversation with
Go have
someone
a
who
stern
said that.
conversation with half of Reddit.
I want to say get fucked because that season sucked.
I'll go
I
post that on
mean,
Reddit right
straight
now.
up. And
I
then
know
when
that's
I
really
saw that
aggressive,
this, so
but
I already don't like Mars, and then I saw this season was Warmind and Seraph focused, which also we all know how I feel about Season of the Worthless. So
best
I was
season.
like, oh no.
I know, dude. As soon as I heard Warmind focused, Mars, Seraph, I heard the word Seraph. I was like, oh god, what? They're just mixing all the worst words.
My instant reaction was, please let me put Rasputin into an exotic so I can just vault this entire storyline forever.
Oh my
Damn.
god, it's gonna be awesome.
Josh just would dismantle that Ingram.
I would. I would. I
It
would.
would be
Zol is allowed to live in
undismantleable.
my vault before Rasputin at this point.
Damn.
But all jokes and all bitterness aside, I actually really like this dungeon a lot. I think it's unique and creative. I like that you have to infiltrate the facility, you have to climb the tower, and then you have to go right back down it through the middle. The dimensions are definitely not the same as on the outside. I want to make that really clear. On the inside, it's a little wonky in there.
So is it a TARDIS?
It could be. I mean, if David Tennant shows up and some Daleks show up, then I'm going to be a little concerned. I think that
Vex kind of like Daleks a little
this
bit.
is not. It's not a hard dungeon, right? But if you've never experienced Garden of Salvation, you're in for a bit of a surprise with the two bosses. It took Joe and I a second to realize that, oh, we have to shoot the eyes. We couldn't figure out why we weren't doing any damage when we were shooting the middle eye, and we're like, oh shit, we have to shoot the eyes off. This is Garden 2.0. I think it's a clever reuse of assets, and I love that it's using the Vex from the Black Garden. That's the faction of the Vex that the Witness has under his control. Because they're obvious, I mean, they're the ones that are literally worshipping the darkness that we see at the end of Destiny 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he first makes contact with us in the lunar pyramid in Shadowkeep. So that was kind of a nice, like, full circle nod. I felt like we kind of been wondering, like, what are they doing? Are they just like fucking around? And Ikora even addresses that and was like, man, I was really hoping that we were done with them after we killed the Undying Mind, but I guess not. They're still out there. The Witness is controlling them now. And I think that opens up some interesting lore possibilities. You know, we see ourselves building a coalition of these different forces. You know, there's a faction of the Fallen under our banner and under the Witness's banner with Aramis. There's a faction of the Cabal under Callus and under Keitel. There's the Hive that exists under Xivu Arath, and there may eventually be the Lucian Hive with us as an enemy of my enemy is my friend thing. I'd love to see a faction of the Vex just like come out of a portal like in our darkest moment and start blowing up that army and then just disappear like without a word. Like,
yeah, what if there's a simulation where we are the thing that like helps them on their journey, and so they decide they want to like help us?
That's not
the mystery of the Vex feels like something that they're saving for post Final Shape.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't think they really know what they want to do with them. They kind of like leaped in and just were like, we need another race in Destiny 1, and they've never really built upon that. But I think that adds the fun and the mystery of it. Theming that like all of what's going on here and like tying it into the seasonal storyline, I think it's really creative. I love the theme. I like the idea that the armor that we get, Tex Machina armor, the cowboy hats, yeehaw, is actually from the fire team that is canonically sent into the Spire after we take control of it, that Ana guides through. I love that we basically went back and picked up their clothes.
Ana goes
why
in.
Are they running around the Spire naked?
Ana goes in with a bunch of rednecks to try to defeat the Vex.
Because they thought
sure
that none of was a better mouth. And then the weapons. I think the weapons are a particular note here. Legendary Deadmans. You get the awesome sidearm. You get the grenade launcher that shoots 2 grenades, and you get the LMG, and they all have like that ridiculous wood paneling on the side.
I know. I'm so excited to like.
It is a lot of fun. Every one of these weapons is really fun to use. They all have great perks, great perk pools. I've been using what is it, long arm, the scout rifle. I've been using that quite a bit with all the arc shields that I've been seeing this season. Really enjoying that. The exotic looks completely wacky. I have not gotten the exotic yet.
You will.
I will. I have not gotten the exotic yet. Max got it on his first run though. That was really cool. You shoot, like you create a guidance ring, and then you shoot an arrow through it to do like triple the damage or something. It does a lot.
It's an interesting concept. I'm curious to see how well it plays out.
I would rather exotics take a chance like this and maybe not always hit, because at least you tried something new.
I agree 100%. I just feel like more often than not they don't hit.
They don't, and you know what? I'm kind of okay with that. In a world where you have La Monarch and Trinity Ghoul, how many people are really craving another like really good exotic bow?
John.
Well, yes. We love you, Johnny. So, Nerd, you've gone all the way through this. You and I did we did our day one run together with our buddy Joe. Colonel Panic, friend of the show. We love you. We miss you. What are some of your thoughts on the dungeon? Just overall, just quick thoughts on it, stem and stern.
I love that the Vex went on Amazon and bought a 50 pack of Amazon power cables. And no, it's an interesting. I mean, it's not my favorite dungeon. I don't hate it. I love. I don't love it. It's sort of sits firmly kind of in the middle. It kind of, I do like the sort of the fact that it's a facility that you kind of have to scale, and like you're using the environment to kind of traverse up. We don't get a lot of verticality in, at least to that extent, in a lot of experiences,
like in combat, in heavy combat.
Yeah. I didn't get to do. I've only done the dungeon once, so there's probably more that I need to explore in there, and I didn't really get to do a lot of the mechanics, so I can't speak to like how fun those are, or like I know you can cheese them, so I won't spoil that for people that want to figure that out. But overall, I'd give it like a 7 out of 10, 6.5, 7 out of 10. Loot's cool. I like cowboy stuff. I think the Warlock cowboy gear is probably the worst looking gear out of the 3 sets. But overall, I mean, pretty neat. I like that they're taking chances, and they're kind of going out with these weird themes that they wouldn't normally do, and it's pretty cool.
I mean, going from pirates to cowboys are like 2 really weird themes that like I didn't think we were going to get.
The armor overlap is pretty great though. Like you can mix and match that armor really good.
Yeah. The armor, okay, so I don't want this to like go off on a tangent, but like if we're gonna name a plus side or a positive thing for this year, the armor design team is a huge asset that the entire Bungie team has.
I'll never forget this whole season when Joe bought the Void armor while we were waiting for you to load into the first mission of Witch Queen. He bought the Void armor and had it equipped, and we were all freaking out because he had this Void shield on his back.
Mm-hmm.
We were like, oh my
armor
God,
team
that's
is
so
superb.
cool. Like that's something I didn't expect before. Like, I may rag on these collaborations, and I still don't like the Assassin's Creed one, but the Fortnite armor looked great.
Yeah, I actually kind of
absolutely bought the Warlock set.
I kind of like the Titan Assassin's Creed set. Not enough to buy it, but
it's fine. I like that. I like that it's not like giant shoulders.
Yeah,
it's like the most normal set of armor you guys have ever gotten.
Yeah,
I actually like that you can wear the shield on your back too.
Yeah, I actually like most of the armor this season for the Titan, which is hilarious.
The elemental armors continue to be great.
Yeah, the helmet this season for the Titan is cool. The Arc helmet.
I think the one that I really want to shout out is the Reaper armor in Haunted.
Yes, that's the only reason I completed, like that motivated me to get into that season, was like I really just want the armor, and then from there it pushed me to do more stuff. Like I got really into Grandmasters late that season, like the armor, the armor grind.
Conquerors that season,
Yep.
I want to get back to the dungeon, but absolutely, like that is a set that I'm actually floored they did not charge $15 for.
Mm-hmm.
because that would have been the easiest $15 I've ever spent in this game.
The cowboy set?
The not just the cowboy. I was talking about the Reaper set, but
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
the cowboy set too. Very surprised the cowboy set was not charged for. Everybody would have bought it for a cowboy hat. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
have
it's
bought it
true.
right away.
I love that the hunter set is the only set where you can use the hat with literally any helmet because it's not part of our helmet. It's part of our cape.
Mm-hmm.
It's because you guys bitched for like 2 years that you wanted to have
I mean,
separate
the
components.
cape is also ugly, so you can't. If this brings up a point that I've talked about like briefly, and I don't think I've ever addressed it here. I would like to be able to like equip certain parts of certain armors to other sets. Like I really would love, like, once we leave these old consoles behind, I would love like full customization. Like let me put my cowboy hat on, but wear, like, still have my dead orbit cloak on, for example. Let Titans and Warlocks pull their hoods up. Why can't you guys pull hoods up? Why is that only a hunter thing? Why can't I have giant shoulders?
You don't want giant shoulders, Josh. I've been trying to get rid of giant shoulders for 8 years now. Okay.
Josh does want a loincloth.
I mean, that's fair.
I do want a loincloth, absolutely. They gave me a mini skirt this season. Now I need the loincloth. Getting back to the dungeon though, I do think that like the theming it Western, like down to having a fucking tumbleweed roll across the beginning of the dungeon.
Man,
is
that was
so
fantastic.
Great. It's so great. Something else I think we need to shout out, because like I really enjoyed it in the dungeon and I've enjoyed it all year. The music team is just amazing yet again. This has to be the hardest working music and audio team in the industry.
Always have been.
At least for an FPS. I'll say at least for an FPS, because I mean, man, the sound design in like Elden Ring is incredible.
Are you finally playing Elden Ring?
No, I've watched enough videos now though that I can appreciate all parts of it. I'm diving in after Christmas. I simply have too much between now and Christmas. But that is that's going to be my January game. My goal is to have it finished by the time Persona 3 and 4 come to Game Pass at the end of January. Because those are absolutely going to be what I play until Lightfall. So
you won't be done with it.
Shut up.
You won't be.
Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts we got on the dungeon, guys? Like we don't have really a full review. I might gather some more thoughts. I've done about 5 or 6 runs of it. I might gather some more for next week. But
nope. I'm gonna run it this weekend. Hopefully, I'll have a more thorough review. But
after the break from your local station, I want to talk about one more thing before we just kind of start wrapping up for the year. We got a couple listener questions here, and like I said last week, we're gonna hold Lore Corner off until the beginning of the year. I want to take some time to kind of figure out where we're going at with the storyline now, and figure out what we need to cover between now and Lightfall. I want to talk about the loot from this season. Does anybody have any drops that they've really liked of new seasonal or dungeon gear so far? Besides cowboy hats. We're not talking... Cowboy hats do not count in this conversation.
I will point out, so I kind of alluded to this a little earlier in the show. I just recently switched from a longtime Xbox player to PC. And so the world of PvP is kind of reopened up for me. I've been playing a lot with the Disparity Pulse Rifle, which I know has been a very popular gun with everybody, but I have one with Outlaw and Desperado, and I've been really enjoying it. It's probably my go-to PvP pulse right now, which took I think I like it better than No Time to Explain.
Yep.
And I'm really looking forward to getting some of the Aikilos and Seraph weapons. But I think the Disparity for me was an unexpected bonus.
Yeah, I think that last season, with the exception of Brigand's Law and oh god, I can't remember the name of the scout rifle from last season now. Is it Tarnished Metal? I don't know what it is.
Yes.
But, okay, those two were like the only good weapons that we got last season, not counting the Kingsfall weapons, obviously. And even in Kingsfall, I think you got like the Scout and the Pulse. That was about it. It's been pretty underwhelming for weapons, I would say, the last 6 months or so. Like Haunted didn't have a whole lot that really like floated my boat. I know a lot of people are happy to get Ostringer back. I really liked.
Callus Mini Tool, get out of here.
I'm getting the Callus Mini Tool. Callus Mini Tool has not left my inventory since I crafted it. I use it all
How
the
dare
time.
you?
Drang is awesome. Drang is really, really good. Again, I've enjoyed the different glaives that we've gotten. But this season, man, Disparity is absolutely my favorite craftable weapon since Peace of Mind. I think that it hits all the notes that I want in a primary. I got mine with Moving Target Desperado, and it's just amazing. Also, special shout out to the Vanguard SMG that you can get. It's a Stasis Viced SMG, and I got that with Dynamic Sway and Adiago. I would like a better roll on it, but that's a pretty smooth SMG. That's what I ran day one in the dungeon, especially for those eyes. Corey, do you have anything you've been enjoying?
Well, I haven't really had a lot of time to play. I got 2 of the seasonal drops though. I got the trace rifle. What is it? Path of Least Resistance, I think is what it's called, right? And it's fun. I'm glad we're getting more legendary trace rifles.
It's my
Though,
favorite of the legendary trace rifles
yeah,
so far.
yeah, I've definitely been using it more than I have been using trace rifles. I also got the pulse rifle, which is I think it's a stasis pulse rifle. It's
Yeah,
cool.
it's Disparity. Yeah,
I
it's
feel like
far and away the best weapon.
yeah, I have a lot of stasis pulse rifles, so I'm trying to figure out if this one is worth keeping or not.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to check the roll and see if I can get a better one, but I have a couple other stasis pulse rifles that I like to use, so if this one's going to replace one of those, that'd be great. But those are
Yeah.
the drops I've gotten so far.
I would shout out Long Arm from the dungeon. I know I did in our dungeon breakdown. Right now it's definitely my favorite dungeon weapon. And I also like I like that Ikelos SMG is back. I got one to drop with Sarah Frowns already. Sarah Frowns surrounded a rangefinder, and that's been really fun to play around with. I love that it's craftable.
Yeah.
That and Ikelos Shoddy, just 2 classic weapons. But all 4 of the Ikelos weapons are back. It makes sense that they're here in the Warmind season. I like that. It kind of feels like they're setting us up to expect a pattern of, okay, when we release a new dungeon is when you're going to get some reprised weapons from like old Destiny 2 content.
Yeah.
So
I think origin traits have been a good win for this year too. We don't have to talk about it, but I think origin traits have been
agree.
really massive addition that have really changed. Like a couple guns this year have been good specifically because of origin traits.
I would say the one for this season is probably my favorite, or it's at least one of my favorites. Ambush, which improves range, handling, and damage against combatants during the opening moments of an engagement. And when you're running a weapon like Desperado, that has Desperado, I guess I should say, that's a lot of fun. I also really like the part of the reason why I like that Stasis SMG so much that I have is because, of course, since it's a Vanguard weapon, it has Vanguard's Vindication on it, but it also has Viced Stinger. And both of those are just great weapons are great traits for a primary. Very excited about this new exotic that's dropping on Tuesday that is going to have 2 origin traits. That's going to be kind of wild. I wasn't liking
how many catalysts? Several?
4.
Yeah.
So this kind of feels like the next step in the evolution of like what they wanted to do with Hawkmoon and Deadman's, which we found out last night will be craftable in Lightfall. They revealed that on Firing Line, so interested to see how that comes around. I want more stuff like this though. I like that the ambush trait, for example, will not be useless when this season is over. Whereas I want to find the exact wording. It's the one that's on Callus Mini Tool. I feel like is going to be something that really isn't that useful past this season. Well, no, I guess the one that I'm thinking of isn't this one. 2XS is actually really good. There was one specific one that gave you like a bonus when you were fighting nightmares, and I was just like, oh, here we go. Extrovert. Final blows while near multiple combatants or near nightmares restores health. And
Oh yeah, on the haunted weapons.
yeah, I have that on my my shotgun. That's what I was thinking of. And I don't think they were really executed that well the first season, like in like base Witch Queen, but I think they've really taken on a life of their own, especially like I think this season, like it's glaringly obvious how good some of them are.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, man, we're actually making good time now. Let's do our last couple questions of the year.
Let's do it.
Questions.
Questions.
We have 2 questions tonight.
Ooh.
Tiger Jesus writes in and asks us, what underperforming heavy weapons would you like to see become the meta? Nerd, I feel like you would have some fun answers for this one.
I really want LMGs to come back. I was always a big fan of the LMG meta. Like, well, I guess, yeah. I mean, they were meta back in like late Forsaken era, when we had like Thunderlord and Hammerhead that were, meta boss DPS for quite a while.
Yeah.
Grenade launchers, heavy grenade launchers would be cool to see come back. Just because like, but now the anarchy's kind of slid out of the way and isn't, kind of holding the top spot there. Those would be my top 2 for sure.
Corey, what would you like to see?
Yeah. I mean, machine guns definitely. I miss just whipping one out and just frying everybody, right? I mean, you can still technically do that in strikes and stuff, but like, I don't know, man. Something about Thunderlord and even the King's Fall one that I used to use in Destiny 1 all the time and I still use from time to time now, it like doesn't feel like it's as impactful as it used to be, and I would like to see those come back.
Yeah, I think part of that's because we have such a greater variety of weapons now than we did in D1.
Yeah. No, I'm not complaining about the variety of weapons. I like, sometimes I like to carry around a big machine gun and walk around like I'm the boss of the town,
I will say one of the nice things about this year that I've really enjoyed in terms of DPS has been the linear fusion meta. They were never really that good before now, and they've been really fun. Who would have thought that a 3-burst linear fusion would be like the most coveted weapon in the game and would drive me to do that stupid encounter in duality no less than 50 times.
You love it.
I fucking hate it. If I never see that encounter again, it'll be too soon.
I just like that I got to rub it your face that I got something before you did.
You did, but who has Vex Mythoclast? And how many runs have you done?
Ooh, I don't have it either, Nerd, if that makes you feel better.
So
have you done like 100 runs, Corey?
I've done probably like 10 or 12.
I would like to it's nowhere near the same. I would like to see heavy grenade launchers come back. They were really meta there for like 2 seasons, and then it basically just went to rockets permanently after that, I feel.
Swarm of the Raven.
Man, that it's funny. I was asked the other night, we were doing Last Wish, and they were like, "Okay, so how long has it been since you did Riven?" I was like, "Swarm of the Raven was still meta."
Oh, we used Prospector for a while. Prospector was the Riven DPS king for a while.
It was wild. Lament actually does a lot of damage now to Riven. If you run up and sword the shit out of her foot. I think Dealer did like 700k on his own down there. Just using Lament. He outscored any of us who were using linears.
Jeez.
So that was kind of wild. I'd really like heavy grenade launchers to come back. I want an excuse to run those. They're a lot of fun. I really love the one they gave us in Plunder. Cry Mutiny. You shoot fucking grenade launchers. It's great, or not grenade launchers, cannonballs.
Can we just get heavy snipers to do the correct amount of damage too? Like,
no.
What? Okay.
Nobody wants a Darcy meta.
Okay.
Although I would like to see
me then.
make a return. I don't think there's any reason for it to still be nerfed like it is.
It is. It's superior. You just have to jump.
Also, can we please get that? Can we please get both of those moved to the energy slot? Thanks. Bye. our other questions come from Ronnie. Ronnie has 2 questions. So,
Ooh.
spiciest favorite seasonal weapon, including dungeon, event, and role. So I'm going to take this as like anything from this year. I'm going to limit it to this year, just so we're not like trying to think back like multiple years.
Oh my gosh, I'm struggling thinking back multiple seasons.
Storm Chaser
Yeah, Storm Chaser is pretty good.
really shook up. I mean, it was really what kind of set off the linear meta. I mean,
Yeah.
we knew Cataclysmic was good when Val dropped, but when Storm Chaser dropped, it really just kind of sent
Storm
everybody
Chaser
into
was
a linear.
so much more obtainable for people, I think.
Yeah.
I'm gonna provide a different answer. I like Storm Chaser, and I still kind of alternate between Storm Chaser and Galley pretty often for DPS. I really enjoyed Sweet Sorrow back in Risen. Sweet Sorrow and Peace of Mind were both awesome. Really enjoyed both of those. Great, just outstanding roles on both. Callous Mini Tool, we talked about Callous Mini Tool earlier. And then, man, Tarnished Metal. I really enjoyed Tarnished Metal, but if I had to pick one, I think Brigand's Law is where I go with.
Sidearm?
No, I'm a noted sidearm lover. I got mine with. I have mine crafted with Feeding Frenzy and Volt Shot.
The Volt Shot Vandal.
Man, that thing just, there's no greater feeling than seeing just every enemy get zapped. It's great. I really enjoy it. I enjoy the wackier perks. It makes the game more fun to me in content that feels, even if it's older content, it's like, man, I'm having fun because I'm playing with brand new roles. Incandescent is another one I really liked. They have confirmed that we're going to get a void trait similar to those two within the next couple of seasons, so that'll be fun.
Isn't that what volatile rounds were?
Yes, but I don't think they want to give that to too many weapons. I think they would rather that be something that comes in and then goes away.
Okay.
But that was also my thought for the record. Yeah. Oh, God.
I mean, I think I really enjoyed a lot of this season of the Risen weapons.
Yeah, I really had a really good suite to open the year with.
Yeah, I really like Sweet Sorrow and Peace of Mind, especially Peace of Mind with Vorpal on it. It was super useful in a lot of situations.
It's the one. What was the Waveframe grenade launcher? Explosive Personality. Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Yes,
I also liked the scout rifle from Season of the Haunted. What was that called? Tears of
Contrition?
Tears of
Yes.
Contrition, yeah.
I love
Yes,
that.
It was a great year for Pulse and Scout fans, let me tell you.
Best
as a
scout in the
of
game.
Yeah, I'm still using that as like
This is a solid pick.
Yeah.
I use it a lot when I want a kinetic scout. I think that Tarnished Metal edges it out just a little bit because I like how it fires a little bit better.
Yeah.
And
I'll edge you out.
on it.
I'll edge you out.
The other one that I really enjoyed, I would be remiss if I did not mention this. Insidious with Rapid Hit, the 4 burst pulse from Wrath of the Machine, or not Wrath of the Machine, God, Vow of the Disciple.
Man,
first weapon that I made craftable.
Really excited, Josh.
The only weapon I've made craftable from the raid so far. Really enjoying it. Still go to it from time to time, but I just have too much in that energy slot that I'm playing around with. I feel like that's the slot where I change it up the most. In my primary slot, I mean, I'm still clutching my messenger. My beloved messenger is still in my.
I can't get
inventory.
you to put that damn thing down.
I love that thing. It's gonna have to be ripped from my hands like my Bygones and my Blast Furnace were. If Blast Furnace comes back to this game, I'm never using another primary ever again.
If Blast Furnace comes back, Josh and I are just gonna be logging on instantly, and you're just gonna see the drool hanging from our mouths.
I'm gonna be grinding until I get 5 red borders for that. And then Ronnie also asks, he asks a question that's not really related to Destiny, but we've grown accustomed to these types of questions. What was your favorite video game growing up? Even if you went back and played it and it doesn't hold up, what game growing up could you not get enough of?
Oh, God.
Halo 2.
Halo 2 is... I think Halo 2 is like a given answer here.
I bet you that... I was going to say, I figured that's the answer for all three of us, but for me, it's Halo 2.
I need a non-Halo 2 answer.
What is...
For me?
I mean,
I need a non-Halo answer from everybody.
Damn it.
I mean, what is growing up me? I mean, I'm older.
I would
think
say
I'm
you're
older
teenagers.
than both of you.
I would say
not by much.
I would say, I don't know, like anything up until you were like 14.
Oh God. So I mean, Turtles in Time for Super Nintendo and
Ooh,
Hyperstone
good
Heist
one.
for
Solid.
Genesis. Those are two great Ninja Turtles games that you can play now on whatever system you own. Uh, Hyperstone Heist, super underrated. Uh, yeah.
I put the
I,
arbitrary timeline at 14 years, and then I realized Halo 2 came out when I was 12.
oh, well, you know.
So I
Jeez.
still can't use
Yep. Zoomer.
that.
Zoomer.
um, yeah.
Nerd, hit me with one.
It's a cliche one, but it really was a huge part of my childhood. Chrono Trigger. I was a big RPG fan
Got you.
growing up, and I found that game. Our local library had it rentable, and I rented it, and I fell in love with it. And then the next time I went to go rent it, it was stolen from the library. And I thought for a really long time that like I was the only person who knew about that game, and it wasn't until like college that I found out that everybody knew it about it and everybody loved it and thought it was amazing. And it was just
I'm a little surprised your answer wasn't Diablo 2.
so okay. I mean, I could spend a whole episode talking about Diablo 2.
Please don't.
But I won't. I won't do that to you.
Are you guys excited for
But
Diablo 4?
Yes.
Yes.
Diablo 4, if I pre-order it, will be available on my birthday. So I'm absolutely getting Diablo 4 early. I will be playing nothing else. It's funny, I'm gonna have to peel myself away after a couple of weeks to go play Final Fantasy 16. But
Yeah, Final Fantasy 16 looks great too.
my answer for this is, I mean, we all know I'm a few years younger than the guys. So I grew up at the tail end of N64. Like I was 6 when I got my N64, and I was 8 when I got a GameCube. So,
Sweet baby boy.
man,
I
it's
know.
funny. Like if we're talking like when I was young, Pokemon Silver was the thing. I played a lot of Red and Silver. Those were like my favorite games. I'm pretty sure I wore my cartridge out for Pokemon Red.
Yeah.
Um,
I still have my Pokemon Red cartridge.
I have Pokemon Red and I have Pokemon Silver somewhere in one of my boxes in the closet, along
You
with.
guys went red? I went blue.
I played blue first, and then I got rid of a bunch of stuff to get games for Game Boy Advance, and then I regretted it, so I found a red cartridge, which I was like, it's like the same almost.
I did not pick out my first Pokemon game. It was given to me, and that's what I was given. And I was like really into dinosaurs, so Charizard was the shit.
Yeah,
Still is the shit.
Still is.
Yeah.
I have a Charizard ornament on my tree. That's great. So like if we're going like real young there, I would say that one. As I get a little, obviously, I mean, we said no Halo 2. Halo 2 is probably the most formative game of my entire life. But
Same.
I would say Wind Waker is a very close second.
Ooh, good choice.
Wind Waker is what made me fall in love with video games.
Interesting.
I liked Ocarina of Time and I liked Majora's Mask, but Wind Waker, I loved the cell shadedness of it, and I liked that it was like a bit more like lighthearted than those two for most of it. And then you find out that Ganon is like a complete psychopath in the game, and it's great. Like it's great. I love how you beat him at the end by stabbing the sword into his head. It's great. It's a great game, and I felt for a very long time they never captured that magic again until Breath of the Wild. But
I agree with that.
That was the game that made me go, okay, you can make some games don't have to just be walk here, walk there. Like there was the whole boat mechanic, there was the wind mechanic.
People hated that game when it came out too.
I know they did. I'm very well aware that they did. I remember the hate it was getting back when I used to when I got my like first Game Informers and they first showed the cell shadedness. People freaked out because it wasn't the realistic stuff they'd seen at Space World. And they were like, "Oh my god, this looks like a kid's game." And like now, I think it's like quietly revered as like one of the best 3D Zeldas. Twilight Princess certainly did not do it for me. I've never played Skyward Sword, and well, we all know that Breath of the Wild is like my favorite game ever made. So, but yeah, Wind Waker. I have Toon Links all over my apartment. Like no shit. I have little Toon Links. I love the design of Link from that game. Man, give me another one. Give me a true sequel to Wind Waker, and not this Phantom Hourglass bullshit.
Where's the Gallarhorn, Josh? I don't see it.
The Gallarhorn has not arrived yet.
What?
The Gallarhorn will not arrive until Q2 2023.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I mean, Joe and I had Needlers on order for a full year. Only for GameStop to put them down to 50% off the week after we received our orders. I was so mad. I had ordered mine on Amazon thinking I was smart, and then Amazon wasn't supposed to ship it until December. They shipped it a full month early, which meant I had to explain that charge to Chelsea a full month early.
Rip.
And then it went down to half price, and I was like, please don't look at the GameStop sale right now, honey. Please don't. All right.
You had a rough few months with memorabilia.
I did have a rough few months with memorabilia and explaining packages that are still showing up at my doorstep. Do we have any final musings on Destiny or on this year before we wrap it up and we get out of here?
I said it before. They've got to give us 2 really good seasons. You can't I think Lightfall's going to be good, but you've got to follow that up with 2 really good seasons because you can't just coast.
Yeah, I think they have a lot of ground to cover in the next 8.5 seasons, 9 seasons. So to get us to a point where, I mean, does the story end with the Final Shapes campaign, or does the story end with the 4th season in that year? You know, I mean, like, that's something that we haven't really talked about yet either. I think that'd be really interesting. I think that'd be really interesting if you ended, like, instead of 4 seasons that year, you get a campaign that lasts 2 or 3 months. They just drip feed you missions every week. I think that would be really interesting. But I don't know. They have a lot of story to cover in the next 2 years. I'm really interested to see what changes, what doesn't, how it ends, how it theoretically begins again.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious how we get to the events of Lightfall from the season that we're in currently.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the great mystery of these games, right? And the Game Awards trailer, I think, only served to raise more questions for me. From the awesome shot of the Hunter grappling onto the Thunder Crashing Titan, which Johnny immediately was sending to me in the middle of Joasis and I recording the pod last week. Everybody was blowing my phone up with that, like going, "Oh my god, can you believe this?" I'm like, "Yes, please stop sending this to me before my network crashes." Yeah, I did not want that to be the moment where it happened. To some gorgeous artwork towards the end that very much looks like the parable of the Winnower in the Garden that we've heard. And there's some other, like, very curious shots. It looks like the Guardian grappling onto a ship as it jumps to light speed. I'm presuming it's one of Callus's ships as it's going to Neomuna, or the helm gets hijacked by Osiris or something. I don't know. But either way, that looks to be probably the end of the first mission of the campaign. I'm still standing by my theory that we lose Earth for at least the campaign. I would not be shocked if we got like a Red War 2.0 going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Plot twist: Saint and Osiris just go and open up a coffee shop.
I would be okay with this. I really hope that Spider is the benefactor.
And they just make different drinks out of characters
out of
from the
Nezarec's
universe. Balls.
What?
Just say it.
Out of Nezarec's cum? I don't know.
Oh no!
I didn't say that.
No,
I did not say that.
Nope.
Do not put those words in my mouth. I didn't say that.
I don't want any of that in my mouth.
Don't put that drink in there.
I mean, listen, that Nez tea was a little sus.
I mean, the thing too, though, is do we think that Neomuna is going to be the new kind of home base? If we're losing, I mean, we're definitely losing the tower, right? I mean,
I mean, so
in Earth, I guess.
I feel like it's fairly logical that you're gonna have to like retake Earth, but they're not gonna vault Earth. I could see them vaulting the tower for a season, for like a year, and being like, "Hey, we're removing the tower from the game and then bringing it back at the end." And just we've said it for a while that we feel the helm is going to become our base of operations, anyways. So why not just yank the trigger and park the helm in Niamuna or something? I don't know. I think that would be an interesting storyline to follow for those seasons. Is like basically gathering all of our allies and like carrying out like guerrilla strikes, and then in the final shape you assault Earth to take it back once and for all, and save the traveler and all that bullshit.
I know exactly how it works, how it plays out. You guys ready to hear this?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Opening cinematic, the witness, he's in a ship. It's his special ship. It's very powerful. He's flying over the last city, shooting down at the city, shooting at the traveler, destroying everything. He laughs, he cackles. Suddenly another ship drops in behind him. It's a vanguard ship. It shoots his ship, shoots it, it blows up. He's heading down, he crashes into the ground. The other ship comes, lands right next to it, gets out. It's a guy. He's wearing a helmet. You can't see who it is. He gets out, opens the cockpit of the witness's ship. The witness is in there. He's still alive. He takes off the helmet. It's Will Smith. Welcome to Earth. Punches him in the face. Credits roll.
What if the
keep my planet's name out your fucking mouth?
what if the traveler is like a mass relay?
And the Reapers come.
God.
And it's Mass Effect.
But
4.
Like, no, but the witness is kind of like clearly like this. Go to Mass Effect for a second. The witness is like the main Reaper guy, and all the pyramid ships are just the other Reapers, essentially.
The witness is just the plot twist. He's just Saren.
Oh God.
You can beat the witness with a perception
just
challenge.
The enemies from Andromeda.
It's just a skill check to kill the witness.
Yeah, you can actually get him to kill himself.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how they play this out, because I mean they basically have like this expansion and 4 seasons to like really like relay like the threat here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It almost feels like.
See if they start bringing content back, like as we start like liberating areas. Maybe we bring back Titan one season. Maybe we fully reclaim Mars. I mean,
your favorite.
There's four areas that have technically been lost to the darkness. Nobody wants the Tangled Shore back, so that can stay gone. But like maybe you reclaim the other planets and they've been permanently terraformed, because they've already said that if we bring them back, they're going to be completely different.
Yeah.
And I think they've already been doing that with Mars with the temporal displacement. I'd love to see what you do with like a redone Mercury and a redone Titan, especially. Io, I think, is interesting just because that's the last place the Traveler was before it rested over the last city. And the Silver Tree that we did in Arrivals and all that, like the Pyramidion is still there. Could we meet Asher's Vex Collective and get them on our side? That would be cool.
What?
There's a lot of intriguing things. I want to save any more theories that we have. I want to save for as we get closer to Lightfall. So with that being said, Corey, do your thing.
Yeah, let's
do it.
Let's get on out of here. So we this is the last main episode of the year. We may do a pickup for the exotic quest. What, next week, Josh? Is that what we kind of theoretically maybe talked about?
Yeah, I'm planning to do a special episode probably on Wednesday morning is when I'll record it and get it uploaded. Talking about the exotic quest and the exotic pulse. It won't be a full-on review of the pulse because I won't have enough time to do that. But I wanted to get something out there so we weren't waiting until January 5th to do any discussion on it.
Right. Yeah. So we'll do a pickup there, but this is the last episode of the year. Everybody enjoy your holiday, enjoy your new year, enjoy whatever you celebrate this holiday season. Nerd, thanks for joining us. As always, your voice is always welcome here.
Always.
Yeah. Thank you.
Do you want people to find you? I guess in the Discord. But
join the Discord.
Yeah. Josh, where can we find you?
For right now, you can still find me on Twitter at @Jester_Finn, 2 N's. Ooh, I just slurred my own name there. That wasn't good.
That's fine.
But yeah, you can find me there. I'm hanging out in the Discord more and more these days. come join the Discord. We've had plenty of raid groups this week. We've had a lot of dungeon help.
We have a contest going on until the end of this week. Donning fashion contest.
We do have a donning fashion contest. Sorry, it's not a fancy prize this time. It is an emblem from my my collection that I'm willing to hand out. But we might have a cowboy themed one the week after Christmas. Hint, hint.
Yeah.
So you guys be looking to that. And
get your chaps on.
I'm gonna plan some giveaways at the beginning of the year. I'm gonna sit down at the beginning of the year, do some planning for next year, so we kind of aren't just deciding things on the fly. We can be like, okay, this is what we want to do and when we want to do it. Kind of space out some giveaways this time. We went really hard for episode 100. I want to spread the love a little more next year.
We did do that.
We did do that.
Yeah. So yeah, you can find me at I am Corey HC on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow Tower Casuals at Tower Casuals. Join the Discord. It's a good time. You won't be disappointed. And that's it. That's a wrap. 2022. It's over. I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening, and we will see you in January, Guardians. Goodbye.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.